I grabbed something from the City of Lakeview that I wanted to share with you. They have now passed a resolution to have a site plan provided whenever somebody applies for a building permit, and I don't think that's probably a bad idea. Keep going. I've got one for Adam too. I have plenty. There you go. Basically what they did is passed an ordinance, which their legal ordinance is here from their newspaper, but that they actually have a site plan. This is becoming more and more difficult. Sometimes Terry runs into some problems and I'll say, you know, they need to draw it out because we don't have a clue what they're talking about. So it might be something that I would assume that the council just goes ahead and plans that as updating its comprehensive plan. We could recommend it, I guess, to you. If we need to do that officially, we can do that. But I think it would help, you know, a great deal if people did provide that, because then it takes care of your drainage problems too. You know, we've talked about storm drainage and things like that, and some issues that we've had with that around the community. So
this is just for a commercial industrial.
This is for everything. Well, this it does say commercial industrial. Yeah.
Because I was going to say, you're talking about some things on here for, you know, house that would never pertain until you get down here to the bottom.
And specifically, they did that, of course, because, you know, they have some drainage issues around the lake. But I think it might behoove us to put something like this in place, unless you guys think it's totally unnecessary. But it's kind of hard for them to draw things out on the application that we have.
So you think we should do it also just for commercial and industrial, or for everything? That's open for discussion?
You know, I think that's open for discussion because we talked about a proposed project the other day, and I said, you know, have them draw it out so you know what you're talking about, you know, so. If somebody's going to build a house someplace, they ought to be able to give you a drawing of it, or build a building someplace, they should be able to give you a drawing. So.
Don't they have to have a drawing now for a building permit? Yeah, okay. But a site plan for a commercial or industrial building is usually prepared by the architect, isn't it, Gary?
If they have an architect.
Right, if there is.
Yeah. And so it shouldn't be too tough to get a copy of it.
But it depends, I mean, if it's a Morton building or something. And I don't know how
we get site plans like on the cell phone tower that's going, or both of the cell towers.
Now, because they're designed by licensed architect.
They've had some construction in their community that hasn't been designed by an architect. Somebody just whips up some plans and here you go. So.
Do they even have building permits?
Oh yeah.
Do they?
Oh, yeah.
They haven't had for a long time, or they didn't for a long time.
Yeah, they've had a PNC.
Well, yeah, they might have building permits, but they don't have very strict.
It's tough with the lake because it's kind of like the properties down by the river. They're so close together you can't do anything. So when you're in a lake down, you can reach right out and touch each other's hands, you know, almost. So, but anyway, we're hoping to see some more building and stuff like that. So at least it's something you can consider. You can read it over or something and take a look at it next month or something if you're interested. Just
actually, I think
it
sounds like a good idea because, like you said, we need to know, or the board here or the representative of the board needs to know just what they're planning and how it affects the city and the utility companies even.
Well, just to back that train up a minute, if it's going to be that kind of a project that would have some impact on utilities, whatever, but I'm sure it would be large enough in scope that most of these would be already addressed. Okay, like say I'm going to put up a, for example, you were saying, we're talking about commercial or residential. All right, I want to put a deck. All right, now, what's my lighting plan? What's my drainage plan? I mean, you know, nobody's going to fill that out for a deck, you know, or for a house or something like that.
Well, I guess they don't get the building permit then, do they?
They should
That's
for
why
a
it
house.
says commercial.
Well, then,
All right, but for somebody to say, I want to put up a storage shed, you know, for my lawnmower, 12 by 12. See what I'm getting at? That's why I think the difference is listed in here. Okay, you know, what's your green space plan for your shed, for your holes of your mower? You know, come on there, you know. When we do, I think that would be rather prohibitive on somebody who wants to build a little garden shed for anything, you know. That's why I think this was designed for the commercial here.
It's kind of,
But still, they should have a site plan.
They should have a site plan.
Because-
That's sit on the lot.
That's right, because what if,
Yeah.
You know,
what are you gonna do,
Utility
Nick,
shed.
if somebody wants to put up a little storage shed, and they wanna put it across the city gas main, or the city gas line serving the property, or the water line?
I'm not
or
against the
telephone
site
companies?
plan, I was just saying, you know, the green space plan, the lighting plan for your little garden shed. I'm going
Well,
right
I guess it wouldn't affect it then.
the only other thing that you should consider there probably is a couple years ago, everybody was talking a lot about storm drainage and how we continue to put structures on property and we don't leave adequate drainage anywhere. And so that was a council issue for storm drainage and stuff like that.
See, now it's commercial, like you take the hospital up here. That parking lot drains into the fair a lot. So that wasn't good, that was, you know, something that would definitely impact. And see, I'm trying to differentiate here between residential and commercial. You know, when you build that large of a structure, you know, that should have been probably addressed. So, you know, we didn't have one entity mad at the other entity because it usually rains during fair and then, you know, they get soaked or whatever. You know, there was some of those things probably could have been avoided with, you know, a little more talking back and forth. But, you know, so I'm not saying this is a bad thing, especially for commercial. But I'm saying that we should, you know, for residential, other than just a use of the structure and scale drawing and, you know, that kind of thing, I could see. You know, but as for all these to be met for residential, I think would be.
Well, we do have something in our zoning ordinances about not taking up more than, was it 35% of your land space? So if it, you know, I don't know how closely we monitor that, but.
Pretty close.
Okay.
And I tell you what, you cover 35% of your property, you got a lot of building.
Well, I kinda think this is a good place to start.
Well, I
And-
think so too, because,
And-
you know, the problem that we had last year, Board of Adjustment ran wild on us.
Oh, boy. Unfortunately, you're right.
They just allow.
They just
whatever
allow
came before
anything
them,
that
yeah.
comes in front of them.
But we could also have a site plan for residential.
Right.
It'd be, I think it should be different than
Yeah,
this.
oh, yeah,
I think
different
it's
than
too
this, yes,
detailed
but this is
for
a good
the
place to
simplified
start.
version of it. Yeah.
Just a
Yeah,
simplified version.
right. I mean,
That's
the lighting plan for,
Yeah.
so what difference does it make what the lighting plan is? You're not going to say yea or nay to something for the lighting plan.
Well, unless you have a tall garage or something, you have some big little lights on it that shine in your bedroom, then you'd be real cranky about the lighting plan.
Get it right.
Yeah.
To do this.
Shirley,
Yes.
do any other towns in the county have something similar that we could look at as well?
No. This is probably the one that's seen the most development. And probably part of their problem is, even if you build a house and everybody's got a 3-car garage, and you got this huge driveway and all this kind of stuff, so, you know, with commercial and industrial, certainly you have parking lots and things like that to take an issue. And the reason I looked at that, I thought that was a good idea, because we did that for one of the structures down there, was because of the storm's drainage issue that's been a huge discussion for the past couple of years. And I thought, you know, we don't have anything like this in place. Maybe we'll just steal somebody's and
Adam,
take
could
a
you
look at it. So-
check with the municipal association,
The
state
League of
of
Cities,
Iowa,
yeah.
and see if there is such a thing as a site plan for
Residential.
residential. you know. And I'm sure there is for the bigger cities, which we could critique it for our own, if they do have a, thank you, good idea.
Anyway, just something for your consideration. And then-
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to consider something like this.
You know, and to go along with this, I don't think it's Terry's place to go out there and state the project in for them. You know, if they would bring a basic map, hey, this is where we're gonna put it, you know.
We like to see them.
With measurements.
Page 2 of this.
Right.
Of our building permit.
Mhm.
And we always check how close to every lot line,
Sure.
how close to the right of way in front and back.
But people don't like to do it, but it's
No,
like,
I
you know,
know.
it's a necessary thing.
No, you end up helping them do it
Right.
when you go to give them the permit. But
Well, if it's important enough for them to get a building permit, it should be important enough for them to have a small site plan of some kind, I would think, you know.
Maybe we could, for residential, revise our page 2. I don't know
Sure.
if we can make that better.
But why don't you bring page 2 to the next meeting and we'll take a look at it.
Well, that's probably,
You probably don't have enough copies for everybody to look at though.
no, probably not. No, I won't have that.
Adam would probably don't have to turn on the copy machine, have her warm up to copy them, so. But it might be it's something that I think maybe we could consider.